AITA for cutting off my girlfriend's card after she left me for Travis in front of friends? I'm Ronald, 41, and for almost 7 years, I thought Melanie and I were living the boring grown-up kind of love. Shared phone plans, vacation calendars, grocery runs after work, and arguing over which streaming service had the better documentaries. I was her boyfriend, not her husband, but somewhere along the way, she started treating my wallet like a joint account and my patience like proof that I would never walk away. The money thing didn't start ugly. That's what made it so hard to see for what it became. The first time Melanie asked me to cover something, it was her part of the phone bill. She said her bank had flagged a deposit and she'd pay me back the next week. I told her not to worry about it. We had been together long enough that I didn't want every little favor to feel like a business transaction. Then it was groceries. She was already an authorized user on one of my cards because she used to pick up household stuff when she was coming over. Paper towels, detergent, coffee, that kind of thing. I put a low limit on it at first, mostly for convenience. She'd text me from the store and say, "Do you want the regular coffee or the one that tastes like dirt but costs twice as much?" And I'd laugh and tell her to get both. After that came car insurance. She called me one afternoon, sounding embarrassed, and said, "Can you help me just this month?" I hate asking. I covered it. Then a storage unit. She said she needed space for old furniture, holiday bins, and boxes she didn't want cluttering her place. It was supposed to be temporary, just a few months while she sorted things out. I put it on auto pay because she said it was easier and she would send me her half. At first, I didn't mind. I loved her. I pictured us getting married someday, even if we weren't in a rush. I figured couples carry each other sometimes. I had been raised to believe that if you could help someone you loved, you helped. But helping became expected. Expected became assumed. Assumed became invisible. The card that used to be for groceries started showing charges from places that didn't look like groceries at all. Salon appointments, lunches with friends, gas stations on days she hadn't come anywhere near me, a restaurant tab for 4 people. Little things, not enough by themselves to make me explode, but enough that I'd sit at my kitchen table with the banking app open and feel that slow pressure build behind my eyes. When I asked about it, she'd get defensive before I even finished the sentence. "So now we're keeping score?" she would say. "No," I'd answer. "I'm just asking what this charge is. It's always something with you lately." That became her favorite move. I'd ask a direct question, and somehow I'd end up defending myself against a bigger accusation. If I asked when she planned to move the storage unit into her name, she said I was making her feel rushed. If I asked about the phone bill, she said I was treating her like a roommate. If I asked why she had put a dinner with her sister on my card, she said, "I hate feeling like every dollar comes with a leash." That one shut me up for a while. I didn't want to be the guy who used money to control his girlfriend. I didn't want to sound cheap or bitter or like I was punishing her for needing help. So I swallowed a lot of it. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself she was stressed. I told myself relationships go through uneven seasons. Looking back, I think Melanie learned exactly which words made me back down. The last few months before everything fell apart, she changed in ways I tried not to overthink. She canceled our usual Friday dinner twice in a row. She stopped sending dumb pictures from her day. She started taking longer to answer texts, but somehow still managed to send Venmo requests with labels like temporary help or insurance. Promise I'll explain. Once, I saw a photo on a mutual friend's story. Melanie was at a restaurant I liked, sitting in a booth, laughing at something just out of frame. I only saw her for a second before the story moved on, but I recognized the necklace I had given her. When I asked about it, she said, "It was just a group thing. I didn't think I needed permission." I didn't say you needed permission. You didn't have to. Another time, she told me she needed space. Her exact words were, "I need room to breathe without feeling monitored." 2 hours later, my phone buzzed with a card notification from a home goods store. I remember staring at it and thinking, apparently, she needs space from me, but not from my auto pay. I tried to have the money conversation one more time on a Tuesday night. We were in my kitchen. I had made chicken and rice because it was one of the few meals we both ate without turning it into a debate. She barely touched hers. She kept flipping her phone face down whenever the screen lit up. I said, "Can we separate the bills?" She looked up like I had slapped the fork out of her hand. "What does that mean?" "It means the phone line, the storage unit, the card. If you want them, they should be in your name." I'm not saying I won't help if something serious happens. I'm saying this can't stay blurry. Blurry, she repeated, as if the word offended her. Yes, blurry. She pushed her plate away. You know what this feels like? It feels like you're setting me up to fail so you can say I need you. I took a breath. I had learned that if I reacted too quickly, she'd make the reaction the whole conversation. No, I'm asking for a plan. And I'm telling you I hate feeling trapped. Then let's separate the bills. She just stared at me. Then she said, you don't get it, grabbed her purse, and left without taking the leftovers she had asked me to save for her. That was when I called Darren. Darren has been my best friend long enough to hear what I'm not saying. I told him the basics, the card charges, the weird distance, the way every conversation about money turned into me being controlling. He didn't do the thing where friends just say, forget her, man. He was quiet for a minute, then said, open your bank app. Save everything. I'm not trying to build a case, I said. You don't know that yet. That hit me harder than I wanted to admit. He said, do not give her a meltdown she can screenshot. Do not text a novel. Do not threaten anyone. Just document. If she's rewriting the story, receipts aren't petty. They're oxygen. So I started saving things. Not obsessively. Not like I was planning revenge. More like I was finally admitting to myself that I didn't trust the ground I was standing on. I saved credit card statements, Venmo requests, Zelle confirmations, screenshots of texts where she said, I'll pay you back Friday, and then never did. Insurance payments, storage unit receipts, email confirmations for shared accounts under my name. I made a folder on my laptop called What I Actually Paid For, which felt dramatic when I typed it, but also weirdly calming. 3 days before the dinner, Melanie asked me to cover her car insurance again. Just this month, she said, even though it had stopped meaning anything. I paid it because I was exhausted and because part of me still thought we were heading toward a hard conversation, not an ending. 2 days before the dinner, she used my authorized user card for a charge listed as household essentials. It was bigger than usual, but not outrageous. I texted her, what was that? She replied, stuff I needed. We'll talk soon. The morning of the dinner, she texted, we still need to talk about moving forward. That phrase gave me hope in the dumbest way. Moving forward. It sounded like two adults fixing things. So when she invited me to dinner with a few mutual friends that night, I thought maybe she wanted a neutral place. Maybe she wanted witnesses so it wouldn't get emotional. I didn't love that, but I went. The second I walked into the restaurant and saw Travis sitting where Melanie usually saved my seat, I knew I had walked into something staged. Travis wasn't a stranger. He was a friend of a friend type. Someone who appeared at cookouts, group birthdays, and football Sundays. He was 39, good-looking in a very practiced way, always wearing a watch he wanted you to notice. He had the kind of confidence that made him lean back in chairs like the room owed him space. Melanie sat beside him, not near him, beside him. Their arms weren't touching, but they were close enough that they didn't have to be. Around the table were a few friends, Melanie's sister Kelsey, and two people who suddenly became fascinated by their menus when they saw my face. I stood there for a second with my jacket still on. Melanie smiled, but it wasn't the smile she used when she was happy. It was the smile she used when she had rehearsed something. Ronald, she said softly, sit down. I sat at the open chair across from her. No one ordered. No one joked. The server came by and Melanie said we needed a few more minutes. Then she folded her hands on the table and said, I want to be honest because I think everyone deserves clarity. My stomach went cold. She continued, Ronald and I have been over for a while emotionally. I've tried to create boundaries, but he doesn't respect them. I'm starting over with Travis, and for my own peace, I need to cut contact. Nobody looked at me. That might have been the worst part. Not one person looked directly at me. Travis put his hand over hers. It was a small, almost casual gesture, but it landed like a punch. I asked, we've been over for a while. Melanie sighed like I had proven her point just by speaking. This is what I mean. You always need to challenge my reality. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because there are moments so unreal your body grabs the wrong reaction. She looked around the table and said, I need a man who supports me emotionally, not someone who thinks paying a bill means he owns me. There it was. The room shifted. I could feel it. A couple of people looked uncomfortable. Kelsey's mouth tightened. Travis leaned back, calm and smug, like he had just watched me lose a game I didn't even know I was playing. I thought about 3 days earlier when she asked me to cover her car insurance. 2 days earlier when she used my card for household essentials. That morning when she texted about moving forward. And I knew exactly what she had done. She had prepared the breakup, prepared the audience, prepared the language, and left my money attached until she was ready to detach emotionally in public. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't call her out for cheating. I didn't ask how long Travis had been around. I just said, "So you're done with me, but not done with my cards?" Melanie's face changed. Not a lot, but enough. The soft victim look slipped for half a second. "You're embarrassing me right now," she said. Travis sat forward. "Maybe this is something you two should have handled before tonight." I looked at him. I thought that's what tonight was. Then I stood up. Melanie said, "You're proving exactly why I had to leave." I nodded once, not because I agreed, but because I refused to hand her the scene she wanted. I put my napkin on the table even though I hadn't used it and walked out. Outside, the air felt colder than it actually was. I stood in the parking lot between two cars, hands shaking, and called Darren. He answered with, "What happened?" I told him in fragments. Dinner. Travis. Public announcement. Being financially controlling. Cutting contact. When I finished, he didn't swear. He didn't yell. He just said, "Open your bank app. Save everything. Then cut off anything in your name." "She's still inside?" I said. "Good. That gives you time. I don't want to look crazy." "Then don't act crazy. Lock the card. Remove autopay. Change passwords. Do not touch anything that belongs to her. Only remove her from things that belong to you." I leaned against my car and opened the banking app. The authorized user card was right there under my account. I tapped lock. It asked me to confirm. I confirmed. Just like that, the card she had been using for months turned into a useless piece of plastic. I removed autopay from the storage unit. I downloaded the latest invoice first. I took screenshots. I canceled a hotel reservation attached to my travel account that I didn't recognize, set for the following weekend. I changed passwords on the streaming services under my email. I requested changes to the phone plan so her line would be separated as far as the account allowed. I turned off payment methods saved on shared shopping accounts. Every time a confirmation email came in, I saved it. I did not touch her bank account. I did not cancel anything in her name. I did not shut off utilities or do anything that would put her in danger. I only stopped paying for things that were mine or charged to me. Then I sat in the car for a few minutes, breathing like I had just carried something heavy down a long flight of stairs. My phone buzzed. "Melanie." I didn't answer. It buzzed again. Then a text. "Melanie, where did you go?" I didn't answer. Another one. "Melanie." This is exactly the kind of avoidant behavior I was talking about. I almost responded. I wanted to write a whole paragraph. I wanted to tell her she had no right to humiliate me in public and then ask where I went like I had stepped out for air during dessert. Instead, I remembered Darren's voice. Do not give her a meltdown she can screenshot. So I sent a single sentence. "You ended the relationship. I ended the sponsorship." Then I drove home. I didn't sleep much. At around midnight, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and started going through everything again. The apartment was quiet except for the dishwasher running because I had loaded it after dinner like a man pretending his life hadn't just collapsed in a restaurant. That was when the charges started making sense in a much worse way. The household essentials charge from 2 days before wasn't from a grocery store. It was from a furniture store near the area where Travis spent most of his time. I clicked into the details and found an email receipt that had gone to my account because my card was attached. There was a small dining set, a floor lamp, and a delivery deposit. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not groceries. Not detergent. Not coffee. A new apartment. Then I found a moving-related charge. She had described it in a text as storage stuff, but the receipt said delivery fee and moving supplies. Boxes, tape, mattress cover, stair carry. Paid with my card. The hotel reservation I had canceled was under my travel account. 2 nights. 1 king bed. I had never heard about it. My points had been applied automatically for a discount. I leaned back in the chair and laughed once, just one ugly sound. She hadn't been hiding another man from me. She had been hiding my role as the silent investor in their new apartment. Then I found the Kelsey messages. They were in an old text thread from a few weeks earlier. Melanie had been sending me screenshots of something unrelated, a group gift conversation, and she had accidentally included the top of another exchange with Kelsey. I hadn't paid attention at the time because I trusted her. Now I zoomed in. Kelsey had written, "Are you sure you'll be okay money-wise?" Melanie's reply was clear. "Don't worry, I still have his card until the end of the month. After that, Travis and I will figure it out." My chest tightened. Then below it, another message from Melanie. "He won't cancel it. He's too scared of looking like the bad guy." That was the moment heartbreak turned into paperwork. I didn't throw the laptop. I didn't call her. I didn't drive anywhere stupid. I saved the screenshot, cropped nothing, and added it to the folder. The next morning, I printed the key pages and laid them out on my kitchen table: the insurance payments, the storage unit receipts, the phone bill, the furniture store charge, the moving deposit, the hotel reservation, the Venmo requests, and the text about keeping my card until the end of the month. Seeing it all on paper made me feel less crazy. It was not one misunderstanding. It was a pattern with dates and dollar amounts. At 10:17 a.m., my phone started buzzing like it had been dropped into a beehive. Melanie called twice. I let it ring. Then she texted, "Melanie, did you lock the card?" "Melanie, Ronald, answer me." "Melanie, this is abusive." I didn't respond until Darren called. He said, "She tried to use it." "How do you know?" "Because Kelsey just texted my wife asking if I know why you cut Melanie off. Apparently, she was at a furniture place with Travis and the card declined." I closed my eyes. I could picture it too clearly. Melanie at the counter, Travis beside her, probably standing with that proud little lean, the cashier sliding the card back across the counter. A few minutes later, Melanie texted again. "Melanie, you humiliated me in public." I answered, "You said you wanted a life without me." I agreed. She replied almost instantly, "Melanie, you're punishing me for choosing myself." I typed and deleted 3 different responses before settling on one. "I'm not stopping you from leaving. I'm stopping you from charging me for it." Then I put the phone down. The group chat blew up after that. It was a mutual friends and family chat that had started years ago for cookouts and holiday plans, and somehow survived long after anyone remembered why. I hadn't opened it since the dinner. When I finally did, Melanie had already posted her version. "Melanie, I didn't want to do this publicly, but Ronald cut me off with no warning because I chose myself." Friend, Ronald, that's low. Kelsey, seriously. Whatever happened, you don't strand someone. Another friend, money stuff after a breakup can get ugly, but this feels controlling. Melanie, he knows I'm in the middle of transitioning. He did this to scare me. I sat there watching typing bubbles pop up and disappear. Part of me wanted to stay silent. I had spent years trying not to look like the bad guy, and my first instinct was still to absorb it quietly. Then Melanie wrote one more message. "Melanie, he used money to punish me for leaving." No, that was the line. I didn't post every receipt. I didn't dump years of private history into the chat like a weapon. I posted a timeline. I wrote, "Here is the timeline because I'm not letting this be rewritten." Then I attached the dinner screenshot from Melanie's "moving forward" text that morning. The car insurance request from 3 days before. The household essentials charge from the furniture store. The moving deposit. The hotel booking under my travel account. The storage unit invoices in my name. The Venmo requests. The authorized user card information showing it was my account. Then I posted the screenshot of her message to Kelsey. "Don't worry, I still have his card until the end of the month. After that, Travis and I will figure it out." And below it, "He won't cancel it. He's too scared of looking like the bad guy." I finished with one line. She was free to leave. She was not free to keep billing me. The chat went silent. Not quiet. Silent. No typing bubbles. No immediate defense. No, that's not what she meant. Just a long, dead pause where I could almost feel everyone rereading the screenshots. Then Kelsey replied, "Kelsey, Melanie, why were you still using his card after you said you were cutting him off?" Melanie didn't answer. A friend wrote, "Wait, the furniture was on Ronald's card?" Still nothing from Melanie. Then a message appeared from Travis. He was not usually active in that chat, but someone must have added him or forwarded enough that he felt dragged into it. "Travis, wait, that was his card." A second later, the message disappeared, but I had already seen it. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Kelsey called me about 20 minutes later. I almost didn't pick up, but I did because she and I had known each other for years, and she had been more like a younger sister-in-law than just Melanie's sister. She started with, "Ronald, this feels petty." I said, "Kelsey, I'm not arguing feelings. Ask me a direct question. She went quiet. I said, did Melanie tell you I agreed to keep paying for her until the end of the month? She said you understood she needed support while she transitioned. She announced in front of everyone that she was cutting contact with me while sitting next to Travis. What support did I agree to after that? Kelsey breathed out. I don't know. She used my card 2 days before the dinner to buy furniture. She tried to use it again after the dinner. She told you I wouldn't cancel it because I was scared of looking like the bad guy. I didn't know about that second part, she said quietly. You saw it now. There was another pause, and when she spoke again, she sounded smaller. I'm sorry I called you controlling. I didn't say it was okay. It wasn't. I said, thank you for saying that. She told me Melanie was crying and saying I had blindsided her. I almost laughed again. Kelsey, I got blindsided at dinner. She got declined at checkout. That was the only sharp thing I allowed myself. Later that day, Travis called me from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. He didn't leave one. Then he texted, Travis, this is between you and Melanie, but you need to know she told me the card situation was handled. I stared at that for a while. Handled. Another soft word for something ugly. I replied, then she lied to both of us. He wrote back, she said you owed her after 7 years. I typed, I owed her honesty and respect. I gave both until she stopped doing the same. I do not owe furniture for your apartment. He didn't respond. From what I heard later, the furniture store situation had been worse than I imagined. Melanie had tried the card once, then again. The cashier had said politely, it's declining. Do you have another form of payment? Travis offered to pay the first time, thinking it was some bank glitch. Then Melanie apparently said something like, it should work, and tried to call me right there. That was when Travis asked, wait, why are you calling Ronald? I don't know exactly what answer she gave. I only know it wasn't good enough because by that evening, people who had been side-eyeing me at dinner were sending private texts. One friend wrote, I didn't know the money part. Sorry, man. Another wrote, I should have asked before assuming. A few people never said anything. They just stopped reacting in the chat. Honestly, that told me enough. Melanie tried a different approach that night. She called, then texted, Melanie, we need to talk like adults. I replied, email me about belongings. Nothing else. Melanie, after 7 years you're going to treat me like a stranger? I looked around my living room and saw a sweater of hers on the chair, a mug she liked in the sink, the blanket she always pulled over herself during movies. There were pieces of her everywhere, which made what she had done feel even stranger. She had been planning to leave and still leaving her fingerprints all over my life. I answered, after last night, yes. She didn't like that. Melanie, you're cold. Me, no. I'm clear. The next few days were not dramatic in the way people think breakups are. There was no screaming on the lawn, no scene at my door, no movie moment where she begged and I slammed it shut. It was mostly paperwork, passwords, and silence. I called the credit card company and confirmed she was removed as an authorized user. I requested a new card number. I moved every saved document into the folder Darren had told me to build. I separated what I could from the phone plan and gave her a deadline, in writing, to transfer her line or get her own. I canceled the storage unit auto pay and sent her the facility's contact information. I boxed her things carefully. That part mattered to me. I didn't want to become the version of me she had described. I didn't want to throw her clothes into trash bags or hide anything just because I was angry. I labeled each box: kitchen, clothes, books, bathroom, miscellaneous. I put her framed photos between towels so they wouldn't break. I took pictures of everything before sealing the boxes. Darren came over the day she picked them up. Not because I was scared of her, but because I was done giving her private moments to rewrite. Melanie arrived wearing sunglasses even though it was cloudy. Kelsey drove her. Travis wasn't there. She stood in my doorway and looked past me at the boxes. So this is it, she asked. Yes. 7 years, and you need a witness? Darren, from behind me, said, 7 years and screenshots, apparently. I shot him a look. He raised his hands like he was innocent. Melanie's jaw tightened. I didn't come here to be attacked. You came for your things, I said. They're here. Kelsey didn't say much. She looked tired. At one point, while carrying a box to the car, she paused beside me and said quietly, I told her to answer the question. She still won't. I said, that is an answer. Melanie heard that and turned around. You're enjoying this, she said. I wanted to say no, but the truth was complicated. Part of me did enjoy not being the one cornered for once. Part of me enjoyed the fact that her perfect story had cracked. But mostly I felt hollow. Vindication is not the same thing as happiness. It just gives you a place to stand. I said no. You used me in private and lied about me in public. I'm correcting the record. She stepped closer. You could have given me until the end of the month. There it was out loud. I looked at her and asked, why? She blinked. I said, you ended the relationship. You said you were cutting contact. You introduced Travis as the man you were starting over with. Why would I pay for the first month of that? Her mouth opened, but nothing came out that made sense. Finally, she said, because after 7 years, you don't just abandon someone. I nodded slowly. I agree. So why did you stage a breakup in front of our friends and call me controlling while my card was still in your wallet? Kelsey looked down. Melanie's face went red. You're twisting it, she said. No, I'm simplifying it. She tried one last time. You know I needed time to transition. I said, you can leave however you want. You cannot invoice me for it. That ended the conversation. Before she left, I handed Kelsey an envelope. It had copies of the final reimbursement request for charges made after the dinner announcement, the furniture deposit, the moving-related fees, and anything else clearly connected to her new setup that had hit my account. I wasn't expecting to see the money. I still wanted the request documented. Melanie looked at the envelope like it was a snake. You're serious? She asked. Yes. I don't have that kind of money right now. Then you shouldn't have spent mine. She got in the car without saying goodbye. For a while after that, the group chat stayed dead. Someone eventually posted a meme about a completely unrelated topic, and only 2 people reacted. It never really recovered, which was probably for the best. Some friendships can survive awkwardness. Some only survive because nobody ever asks who paid for the table everyone sat at. Kelsey texted me once more about a week later. Kelsey, I'm not asking you to forgive her. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for jumping in before I knew everything. I replied, I appreciate that. She sent back, for what it's worth, Travis isn't staying at the apartment much. I didn't answer that part. I didn't want updates. I didn't want little crumbs of karma to keep me attached to Melanie's life. If Travis had learned who she was the hard way, that was his business now. Melanie tried to float one more accusation through a friend a few weeks later, something about me financially abandoning her during a vulnerable time. I sent that friend the same clean timeline, with no extra commentary. The friend replied, got it, and I never heard the accusation again. That became my rule. I would not campaign against her. I would not chase the story around town trying to correct every whisper. But if someone brought the lie to me, I would answer it with receipts. I spent the next month untangling the last pieces. New card number. New passwords. New routines. Groceries for one felt strange at first. So did opening the streaming app and seeing only my profile. Her mug stayed in the back of the cabinet for a while because I didn't know what to do with it. Then one morning I put it in a donation box without making a ceremony out of it. The quiet was uncomfortable, but it was honest. There were no surprise charges. No vague requests. No conversations where I asked a simple question and left feeling like a criminal. I used to think patience meant love. I thought if I stayed calm enough, generous enough, and understanding enough, the relationship would become fair again. What I didn't understand was that patience without boundaries just teaches the wrong person how long they can keep taking. I'm not proud that part of me wanted Melanie embarrassed. I'm human. Watching that card decline after she tried to make me look small felt like the universe had finally spoken in a language she couldn't reframe. But the thing that actually freed me was not revenge. It was the moment I stopped confusing access with affection. I didn't owe her my anger, my begging, my silence, or another month of bills so she could start over comfortably with somebody else. She wanted a clean break. I gave her one, starting with my wallet. I didn't ruin her new life. I just stopped financing it. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.